Hello, hello. So I wanted to have kind of like, let me push this back, a little bit of a story time. So I'm doing a video on my phone and then also one I'm doing a live stream. So if anybody comes in and comments, and if I miss your comments, please bear with me. Um, so I wanted to do a little bit kind of like a story time. Um, I just wanted to share some experiences, what I call like little miracles, um, that I think that in times, if you're going through something or you're having struggles, I think it's really important to remember, you know, just little blessings, maybe big blessings, little miracles that is obvious. It's just like there's no way that you can say that it wasn't like supernatural or a miracle or just evidence that God is always there. And when you're going through a windstorm or just a trying time, just seems like a black cloud is over your head. And it's we're not promised an easy life. We're not promised times where you're not going to face trials. In fact, especially if you're a believer, you are guaranteed that you are going to have trials and tribulations. And you should fully expect that. Doesn't mean like, you're going to have problems all the time, but absolutely, and especially in times where, we're to take down strongholds. And that's not easy. I mean, everybody has roles in life, and maybe some people have something that they do that is just the same thing they do throughout their whole life, but we all have duties and roles to play, and we have times where we have to take up our cross. And there's specific purposes God has for you in your life. And it may be times where you are really in the battle. Anywho's, so during that time, I've asked for a lot of prayers through different things through the years, and I have been so thankful to all the people who've been my prayer warriors. I cannot express how much I appreciate that. I went through like 7 surgeries in 3.5 years, and oh my word, just wrangling with different things and situations, and good times and bad times, and you all have been there, and I'm just so thankful. So I wanted to share just little things that have happened that I feel like doing this like little story time. I want to like do this on a regular basis. I want to share these little things that have happened to me in life, because I don't know if there's one person that could be encouraged or uplifted by little blessings that I have experienced or witnessed. I think it's important to share those. And I mean, I probably have in the past, but I think that this is also our purpose, is to share the little miracles. If you think back through your life on what little things that have happened to you, like what I'm getting ready to share to you, I think it's important for you to not keep that to yourself. So I'm going to tell 2 stories where God just really moved in a very, I want to say like small miracle kind of way, that was really like an instant answer to prayer. And it just little things, those moments that I remember that like God was really with me. And I think it's important to share that. And then I want to also share one time that God used me to bless somebody else in like a really miraculous, like, I don't know, Holy Spirit kind of way. So anyways, so I want to talk about 2 times where I was in need of food, and God just like whew, sent kisses from heaven, like instantly. So one time I was in college, okay, and I was in the National Guard. So I went into the National Guard um, for 4 years before I went active duty. So as everybody knows me, I'm a veteran. So before I went active duty, I did it backwards. Most people go active duty and then they go in the reserves. Well, I did it backwards. I went National Guard, then I went active duty. So I went to college on the GI Bill. And so out of high school, I applied for college and I signed up for the National Guard while I was still in high school. And so I went to National Guard. So from my college, I went straight to a 4 year university, and my college was like I wasn't smart enough to get a scholarship. I wasn't athletic enough to get a scholarship. So I was in the National Guard, so I had my monthly paycheck, which wasn't very much, and then I had the GI Bill, which helped a little bit, and then I worked, for the university, and I also had Pell Grants. So that's what paid my way through school. So I lived in the dorms, and I don't remember exactly what it was where I don't know if my check was late or it was back then, I got like a check in the mail kind of deal. And so I don't remember what it was, but I was out of food. I had no food, and so I had this little dorm fridge, in my dorm, and I had like I don't know, like some bologna and some jelly. Like my grandma on my dad's side, she taught me when I was young, you know, it was like a delicacy. I know it might sound gross to a lot of people, but you should try it. Don't knock it till you try it. Anyways, fried bologna and jelly. I mean, it was just like a really nice, probably not really healthy snack, but at anyways, I didn't have any food. And I was expecting my check that day and I was going to go to the grocery store. So, it was like at night and, I didn't even like have time to like call churches or pantry or something like that. And I checked my mail or whatever late in the day and my check was on there. So anyways, I'm like, oh dear. So I'll go back to my dorm room and I'm just like, I have no food. So I get on my knees, and I'm just praying, God, please help me. I don't know what to do, I didn't know when my check was going to get there and I'm out of food. And so I literally no sooner ended my prayer and there was a knock on the door. And I'm just like, okay. So I answer, the door, and there was one of the ladies that lived on the dorm, and she's like, hey, I got a new car. Will you go for a cruise with me? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I thought, well, that'll take my mind off of my hunger. And she's like, yeah, and I'll treat you to a burger. And I just like almost started crying, right? And so I'm like, yeah, that sounds really great, right? So she had got this new car and she was like, everybody's out. I don't know where they were. And she wanted somebody just to go cruising with in her new car. I was like, okay. So I go cruising her. Sporting around in her new car, and she stops. We go to Sonic or somewhere and get a meal. And I was like, almost started crying. I was like, this look on my face. She's like, what's wrong? And I was like, you just have no idea. I said, I'm out of food. And I said this prayer. And, she wasn't like really a believer, but, I felt it was important to share with her what had just happened. And I said, I literally just finished a prayer because I was out of food. And you knocked on my door and offered to take me out to eat, go for a ride. And I was like, she's just like, wow. She was just like really moved by that. And she's like, girl, that we have like this pantry in our own dorm. I'm like, no, I did not know that. So, we get done cruising and hanging out, and chatting and stuff. And so when we get back to the dorm, and then she knocks on the RA's room and stuff, and she gives me, they're like, oh my gosh, and she's like, why didn't you ask for help? All this stuff, and I'm just like, well, and so they give me this bunch of soups and stuff, and it's like the next day, my check hits, and it was just, it just little things like that, the timing, that like she could have knocked on anybody's door. There was a few people there in the dorm, and that she hit me up. I was the one that was available. And it just, it just little stuff like that. I mean, I no sooner stopped praying and ended my prayer and she knocked on the door. It's just like, it's just he knows ahead of time, what our need is. And so then another time, some really hard times, right? And Oh my goodness. It's like sometimes when things happen, they happen in threes, and I was just really, oh my gosh, the groceries, I'm just sitting there thinking about groceries, and I made just above enough too much to ask for help, you know, um, and a lot of the pantries and whatever, they go by what your income is, and so they don't really go by when you have extra bills that come up, or emergency stuff that comes up or whatever. And so I'm just thinking, what am I going to do, and I'm kidding you, I no sooner just said that prayer, and I'm driving down the highway. I just said the prayer and cried out to God. I'm driving down the highway, and there on the highway is just a whole bunch of bags of bread. I call this manna from heaven. I'm like, oh my gosh, and we're talking. I eat like the very expensive bread. I have, I can't just eat any kind of bread, and I had this it was like organic 7 grain bread. I mean, there these kind of bread that cost $5 a loaf. I got an entire month's worth of bread just right there on the highway. And it hadn't been run over, not touched or anything. I was like big, huge bags of hamburger buns that are like 2 pounds. Like this got several. I mean, we're probably talking. It was a month's worth of bread, and I'm just like, wow, just stuff like that. I mean, that just the timing. Okay, right after I end my prayer, boom. Shows up on the highway. I'm just like, this is really happening. Of course, I pull over and I'm not ashamed. I'm like, that would have been a sin to just drive right by that. I'm like, oh my goodness. And then another time was, okay, so I'm at the store, and this person that I know, a friend of mine, comes to my mind. And God told me, grab a bar of Dove soap. I'm like, okay, and I'm going to take it to this person. And I'm just like, I don't know what kind of soap this person uses. I have no idea. I don't like look in her shower and see what kind of soap she's got. I had no way of knowing that this particular brand of soap. But just God said, get this bar of soap for her. I'm like, okay. All right then. So I go to her, and you know, I'm gonna door and say, hey, God told me to get you this bar of soap. And she just started crying. And she's like, apparently it had hit some hard financial times. And she said, I was in the shower. And she goes, I didn't even have any soap. She said, I had just a pinky worth left of soap. She says, like, God, I know you will provide. And so, yeah, I mean, I have so many little stories like that I can share where God just told me to do something, say something. And, it's just amazing that, I'm sure so many people can think of things like that, experiences like that they've had in their life where, you just know it's God. Okay. And he is ever present. And so I just wanted to share that, and whenever you're in hard times, okay, and your thoughts are just like on the stress and the stuff that's going on, just remember the blessings. Remember, go back in your memory storage and remember these things. Like even in the Bible, when the Israelites were out in the wilderness and they were traveling and stuff, and they're just like freaking out and focusing on the troubles that they were having in that moment. And God reminded them, said, don't you remember what I did for you? And he commanded them to go back and remember the things that he had done for him, that it was definitely God moving, and so, yeah, I just wanted to share those little blessings, that I had experienced. And, I don't know. I hope maybe that encourages somebody and uplifts somebody. And, because I can sit here for an hour and talk about the things that I need prayer for, but I want to share those things. Um, and, that time where, he blessed me like that. I called it literally manna from heaven. I'm just like, I needed that. It wasn't just so much the provision, that I was having a hard time. Then it was just that he blessed me like that. You know what I mean? Like that, driving down the road and praying like, God, what am I gonna do about groceries this month? I don't even know for groceries this month. And then I no sooner pray that, and this bread shows up on the highway. And we're talking the fancy stuff. I mean, yeah, there was some, like the hamburger buns, and you can do so many things with sandwiches for those. But we're talking the exact type of the 7 grain bread, the expensive kind of bread that I like, because I generally, with bread, I have to, there's, you know, health issues, and so bread can be expensive, especially that fancy kind. Like, we're not talking just no generic bread we're talking the exact type of the fancy high-dollar bread that I like. I'm just like, this is, anyways, the timing. That was, he knows. And so, anyways, yeah, I just wanted to share that. And um I hope that you will share some blessings, and, go back and share with other people little things like that God has done for you, little blessings in life, because I don't know, maybe you just never know when somebody may need to hear that, but share those things. Those are blessings that God gave you, and let that be something that can be an inspiration to other people. Share what God has given to you. So, anyways, that's it for this video. I just wanted to share that. And yeah, comment if that was something that encouraged you, and maybe share something that happened that was similar to that, or some way. I have so many little stories like that I could share, that he just moved in the Holy Spirit, and had me do different things. I've witnessed miracles, just different prophecy, that there's no way that I can know certain things, that he's had me share with others. And just, God is real. That's the bottom line. He's real, and life is not, there's no promise that you aren't gonna have hard times. Quite the opposite. If you get in the word and read it, quite the opposite. Okay. So, but in all things, give thanks. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for watching. That's it for now.